It's overdue on doing this.
But I think the bigger challenge the administration has here is this Rubio's flip-flop here, cleanup, is one of about 19 different reasons that we've been given, even out of Donald Trump's mouth himself, in terms of justification for why they did this. So if you're, the average voter, maybe you voted for Donald Trump because you thought he was going to bring prices down, you thought he was going to establish a strong America on the world stage. What you're hearing from him is a mishmash of reasons that suggest that this was a chaotic, sort of haphazard effort. I don't say haphazard to criticize the military. I say haphazard, politically and strategically.
The military seems to be executing.
Yes, the military is executing.
On the orders.
And I think the fact that we haven't seen any contingency planning from the administration to get Americans out of the region only contributes to a sense that this was not well thought through. And so, again, if you're the average voter, you're looking to November, you're saying, not only is Donald Trump not delivering on what he promised he would do, but he's actually walking back from some of the things that he swore were fundamental to him.
Yeah, I mean, Ron Brownstein, you look at this this data all the time. I mean, I want to play for you and for our viewers at home how the president sounded on the campaign trail. Okay, part of what President Trump said repeatedly was "no more forever wars." Let's watch.
We're uniting forces to end the endless foreign wars. I will expel the warmongers from our national security state and carry out a much-needed cleanup of the military-industrial complex to stop the war profiteering and to put always America first. She said, look at him, listen to him. He's going to start a war. Listen to his rhetoric. He's going to start a war. I said, no, no, no. My rhetoric is going to keep us out of wars.
I mean, Ron, political messaging, what's the old axiom? If you're explaining, you're losing.
Yeah.
The administration was doing a lot of explaining because that messaging that we just saw was very clear.
And this is not happening in a vacuum. I mean, this is happening after all of the other times in his second term he has already used military force. Look, there is no love lost anywhere on the American political spectrum for the Iranian regime. But I do think he is operating on an extraordinarily narrow ledge with public opinion as this starts. There's enough support among Republican voters that he's not going to feel pressure from his Republican elected officials to pull the plug anytime soon. But there is essentially no tolerance for reversal, I think, on costs on the public. 60% of Americans at the outset saying they oppose this. Nearly that many in the AP NORC poll last week saying they don't trust him to make the right decisions when it comes to the use of force abroad. I don't think he can sustain, and again, given what has already happened and given the contrast between it and his messaging, I think he has incredibly little cushion to politically sustain any kind of reversals, whether it's casualties, damage in the region, or even a sustained increase in oil prices. I mean, this is not, we are only 8 months from the election. He was elected above all, far and away, because people thought he was going to solve their cost of living problems. And at the least, he has now another month that he's burning up toward the election where he's not going to see any progress of that. Collapse of the Iranian regime, that might help him. Anything short of that, I think, is a question of mitigating the damage.
Well, and Charles Blow, let's watch what his Vice President Vance had to say about this last night, because if there was anybody that was stronger in their seeming opposition to starting another forever war, if there was anyone who was even louder than President Trump about keeping the United States out of foreign entanglements, it was J.D. Vance. Let's watch what he said last night.
What is different about President Trump, and it's frankly different about both Republicans and Democrats of the past, is that he's not going to let his country go to war unless there's a clearly defined objective. It's pretty clear, it's pretty simple, and I think that means that we're not going to get into the problems that we've had with Iraq and Afghanistan.
So he says that the objective has been defined. We are not going to get into the problems that we have had with Iraq and Afghanistan. The problem with that is George W. Bush didn't want to get into the problems that we got into in Iraq and Afghanistan.
But even George W. Bush felt compelled to come before the American people and to try to explain, whether or not you agree with it or not, to give the American people that benefit and that respect of the voters and the citizens. This is a president who's acting like he's not responsible to the voters and the citizens, who acts like he can do whatever he wants and just, kind of give his explanation through indirection. Telephone interviews with reporters, an offhanded comment at an event for another event, or Marco Rubio flip-flopping all over the place. That is part of the damage here. But whether or not he even accepts that he can be damaged by changing American opinion is what this is exposing.
Yeah, so one really important piece of this, so part of what has made Donald Trump such a dominant figure in our politics for the last decade is one of those things he said way back in 2016 when he was first running, which is that he could walk down Fifth Avenue, shoot someone, and his supporters would still be with him. So it really begs the question, where are his strongest supporters on this particular action? So let's start with Megyn Kelly, Eric Prince, Tucker Carlson, all in a row, and then we'll take a look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. But let's start with those first three.
I've got serious doubts about what we're doing. I support the president. I voted for the president. I campaigned for the president, as you know. But that doesn't mean, and being a conservative or being a Trump supporter or being part of MAGA does not mean you have to accept another Middle East war without questions. And anybody who tells you that can suck it.
I'm not happy about the whole thing. I don't think this was in America's interest.
The public doesn't support it, and it's terrible for the United States.
Tucker Carlson, right there. It's terrible for the United States. Now let's watch Marjorie Taylor Greene, who appeared on Megyn Kelly's show to talk about this. Watch.
We're a year in, and we're in another fucking war, and we've got American troops being killed. I think it's time for America to rip the Band-Aid off, and we need to have a serious conversation about what the fuck is happening to this country and who in the hell are these decisions being made for, and who is making these decisions.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess.
What do you really
feel?
think?
I know.
But to Charles's point, I mean, this is really significant. I mean, how he has gone to war, I think, is as significant as the fact that he has done it at all. He really has offered less explanation to the public than any president taking the country into a conflict of this magnitude. And as you see, it's not only Democrats who feel that they are adrift. It is some core Republican conservative voices. Now, look, rank and file Republicans, they are going to stay behind Donald Trump initially. But as our colleague Aaron Blake wrote on CNN today, CNN.com, they are not as strongly in favor of this as you might expect. They are kind of tolerating, I think, across the political. Look, the public was not on board to begin with. He has made only the most cursory effort to convince them that this is worthwhile, and therefore he is extraordinarily vulnerable to any kind of reversal.
Okay, the clowns you just showed are all part of this fake circus that is just, it's not the representation of Republican voters. Our CNN's own polling yesterday came out, said 77% of Republicans support it. I have
Do you think Republicans and MAGA voters are the same? When you talk, because there are Republicans who vote in midterms, right? And then there's Republicans and MAGA voters who show up when Trump's on the ballot.
Well, I can tell you that survey I have says that people who are very favorable to Donald Trump, the people who are deepest in his camp, they're 96% in favor of this. They're more so than even the rest of the party is.
Sure.
But this is not unusual. In 2011, Republicans were far more likely to support Barack Obama's attacks on Libya than Democrats were. 73% of the Tea Party in CNN's polling backed Obama in Libya. This is really the parallel, is Libya and not Iraq. Libya was a swift action. It took out a government that was problematic in exporting terrorism, rendered them incapable of doing that again. That's the model for what President Trump's doing.
But I think that we're in the
Still kind of a
afterglow
mess
of a Venezuelan sugar high where we think we can have one action very quickly, accomplish the goal, and get out. And I think that, a lot of America now, and I think this is actually, part of this is part of the Obama years, using drones to such a degree, but we are now in this kind of idea that we can have a way more warfare, that we can do it remotely, autonomously. We're not involved. Not a lot of people are going to get killed, and we're going to get in and get out. But the Iranians have a strategy here. They cannot match the American and the Israeli war machine. No way. But what they can do is try to expand the scope of the pain. They can spread the war out to a larger battlefield. More countries get involved. Close the Straits of Hormuz or hamper it to such a degree, increase inflation around the world, increase the pain. And I think that American voters, regardless of who they voted for, no one wants to go to the gas station and have to put $4 gas in the tank. No one wants their grocery prices to go up. That pain, if Iran can hold out, Whether or not they have the capacity to hold out is a different thing.
Yeah.
But
It
if they
sounds like
hold
you're
out,
arguing,
real.
you're arguing for us
Kate,
to go harder and faster.
Very quick last
I'm
word.
not arguing for that at
Last
all.
word.
I think the practical political effect this is going to have, it is going to further energize Democratic voters who are we're already seeing enthusiasm outstripping Republican voters in early vote in Texas today, by the way. And I think it's going to further depress Republican voters who feel like Trump is walking back on one of the major promises. Now, I take your point that there are diehard Republican voters who support this kind of interventionism, but I think for MAGA voters, for the coalition that Trump was able to build, I think this will be a turnout depressing factor.
All right. Coming up next here in the arena, the House of Representatives about to get briefed by top administration officials on Iran. Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton will be here live.
Do you think the Congress would need to authorize any military action against Iran beyond the 60-day or 90-day window?
No.
Explore CNN podcasts for your daily dose of news, culture, and smart storytelling. And discover the conversations shaping our world. Follow and listen to CNN Podcasts wherever you get your podcasts.
Every time I look at you, the world makes a little more sense. You calm the noise, you steady the ground, and you make everything fall into place in a way I never knew was possible. I can't wait to marry you. And when I see you at the end of the aisle, that moment will be the beginning of forever. The moment everything we've dreamed of becomes real.
In a divided America,
where do I fit?
You tell me, ask your party.
Abby Phillip brings all sides to the table.
Can you name one thing you do differently?
The hypocrisy is so rank, folks at home. Classes in session.
To talk about the issues.
Congresswoman, it is false. The answer is zero.
The policies.
What is the Democratic Party about? Can you answer that question?
And the biggest debates to wrap up your day.
I hear what you're saying Trump believes in, but do you think it's a good idea?
Newsnight with Abby Phillip, weeknights at 10 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
When you buy a house, you're buying the neighbors.
It looks like an Osama bin Laden compound in Pakistan.
There is 6-8 chickens, 10 to 15 chicken, 20 chicken.
Oh, can't poop on me.
Don't talk to my child that way.
You will not talk over me.
Back off.
Mister!
My attorney will bury you.
30 seconds.
Wake up.
Breaking overnight.
Catch up.
New details and more questions.
Start your mornings here.
This is a pivotal week.
CNN News Central. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on CNN and watch at 8 on the CNN app.
You introduce your buddy to DTF St. Louis. Whoa. He goes on the site and winds up dead.
I want to know more.
We always want to know more.
Had you ever discussed leaving your husband?
What's going on out here in the suburbs?
Why'd you kill your friend?
Tonight on 360.
The stories that matter.
This whole area is just engulfed in flames.
From a trusted voice, a fearless eyewitness.
We just got a red alert to go down to the bomb shelter.
Anderson Cooper 360, weeknights at 8 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
Caitlin Collins is your DC source, bringing you unprecedented access to the White House, Capitol Hill, and beyond. For in-depth political coverage and analysis, watch The Source, weeknights at 9 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
If anybody knows about going to great lengths to realize a dream, it's the 5 Japanese-born players in front of their nation's fans for the first time.
Homecoming, the Tokyo series, premieres March 27th on the CNN app.
Disney Plus, Hulu, and HBO Max. It's the best of everything together.
I hope you can walk because I'm not carrying you.
The definitive predator.
I miss all the gross stuff.
It's the ultimate bundle for an unbelievable price.
Every weeknight, we cover it all. Will you take this all the way to the Supreme Court?
I'm not refuting a syllable of what you said.
What do you say to people who are looking to find their voice?
Laura Coates Live, weeknights at 11 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
What's happening in the arena? I'll bring you the latest from the players who are actually in the game. because I want answers, and so do you.
The Arena with Casey Hunt, weekdays at 4 on CNN, and watch on the CNN app.
CNN This Morning with Audie Cornish. Weekdays at 6 a.m. on CNN.
Welcome back. Right now on Capitol Hill, senators receiving a classified briefing on the war in Iran. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, the CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, will brief the House of Representatives after the Senate. Joining me now is one of the lawmakers who plans to be at that House briefing, Democratic Congressman from Massachusetts, Seth Moulton. He is an Iraq War veteran and sits on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you very much for being here. We, of course, thank you for your service and appreciate the perspective that service can bring to a conversation like this one. And to that point, Senator Chris Murphy, a fellow New England Democrat, just came out of the briefing that these officials gave to the senators, and he told reporters, "The briefers told us more Americans are going to die." What's your reaction to that?
You got to tell us why. You owe that to Congress, to the American people, and most of all, to the troops about to lose their lives. I mean, as someone who was on the ground in an often misguided war, the very least that we want from our commanders is the truth. Just be honest with us. And these Republicans can't even make up their mind about why they've started the war. You know, is it regime change or nuclear weapons? Is it the ballistic missiles or the oil? Is it some new concocted, self-fabricated theory about why the Iranians somehow influenced the 2020 election, the latest conspiracy theory about why Trump lost? Or is it just because he wanted revenge against the Iranians for threatening to kill him? I mean, these are all explanations we've heard just in the last few days. That's not doing right by our troops, and it's certainly not doing right by troops who lose their lives.
Is there a rationale that they could offer that would convince you that it would be worth sacrificing American blood and treasure?
Certainly not without a plan. And that's the second part, is even if any one of these rationales are true, they have no plan. It's very clear that they have no plan. And the parallels here with Iraq are devastating. I mean, for all the problems with the Iraq war, there were two foundational problems. Number one, it was based on a lie about weapons of mass destruction. And just like there was no WMD in Iraq, clearly we did not obliterate Iran's nuclear program like the President and the Secretary of Defense claimed just months ago. And then two, there was no plan for the day after in Iraq. So even though the initial invasion was a great tactical success, great military operation, there was no plan for what comes next. And bombs and bluster is not a plan. You know, just telling the Iranian people, oh, we're going to take out your leader, we really hope you rise up, hope is not a strategy. So these American troops, again, who are risking their lives for all of this, have got to be asking, what lies am I being told by the administration now?
And do you think that this is personal for President Trump? Is that what you are convinced of? Because a couple of the reasons that you just suggested as to why they might be doing this really come down to the president himself.
Well, he said, I got him before he got me. And he said that without even mentioning the 6 Americans who have already died. So that means it's very clear in Trump's mind that his life, what remains of it, is worth more than those 6 young Americans and the long lives they would have had ahead of them.
Sir, you also, of course, in your during your service, led an infantry platoon. I mean, you were on the front lines and you liaised with Iraqi military leaders in the effort to try to rebuild the country. Can you talk a little bit about what that takes and whether we're prepared to do anything remotely like this in a context like this one?
It takes a lot. I mean, apparently it took 20 years. And although Iraq is a semblance of a democracy today, no one would say it's a thriving democracy. So there are a lot of young Americans who lost their lives, thousands and thousands of more of us who risked our lives, many with life-changing injuries, who can't look back and say, you know, it was even necessarily a complete success. So the point is that there has never been an example in history of successful regime change without ground troops. And there have been a lot of examples of using ground troops and not even having successful regime change. So if that's actually what the president wants, he ought to read up on the history a little bit. He ought to think about the war that he didn't go to, that he allowed another American to go to in his place when he dodged the draft, making up some excuse about a sore foot so that he didn't have to go serve in Vietnam. There is an example of a war where we sought regime change, where we sought a new government, and it all fell apart within months of our departure.
All right. Congressman Seth Moulton, I really appreciate your time today, sir. Hope you'll come back soon.
Good to see you, Casey.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
When you buy a house, you're buying the neighbors.
It looks like an Osama bin Laden compound in Pakistan.
There is 6 to 8 chickens, 10 to 15 chicken, 20 chicken.
Oh, can't poop on me.
Don't talk to my child that way.
You will not talk over me.
Back off. Mister!
My attorney will bury you.
All There Is with Anderson Cooper. Listen at cnn.com/allthereis.
You introduce your buddy to DTF St. Louis. Whoa. He goes on the site and winds up dead.
I want to know more.
We always want to know more.
Had you ever discussed leaving your husband?
What's going on out here in the suburbs?
Why'd you kill your friend?
Disney Plus, Hulu, and HBO Max. It's the best of everything together.
I hope you can walk because I'm not carrying you.
You're hunting something that can't be killed.
I could use a second set of hands here.
I miss all the gross stuff?
It's the ultimate bundle for an unbelievable price.
This is something that no one would have expected even a few months ago.
There's new drama here on Capitol Hill tonight.
If you received that order, would you have carried it out?
Wouldn't you tell your friends back home I'm joining Border Patrol or some surprise?
Here are the 5 things you need to know to start your day.
Should kids be allowed on social media?
You know, I think a lot of women right now ask that question.
This is the work of a cold, calculating assassin.
In a competition like this, every chef is swinging for the fences.
This is the best lineup of bakers I have ever seen.
Series premiere, The Ultimate Baking Championship, Monday at 9 on Food Network.
It is the stretch run on TNT.
The push for the playoffs, that's when their game really picks up. That's the best time of year.
It gets super intense.
Come on, you can feel it!
Do or die, gotta make the playoffs. It's crunch time. Every game's a must win. Your back's against the wall. That can come down to one moment, one play.
You gotta embrace this challenge.
It's all about getting in. Once you're in, you never know what's gonna happen. Give yourself every opportunity to compete for the Stanley Cup.
The rush for the playoffs on TNT.
How's your shift going?
It's been a lot.
This can be very stressful.
Charged. Clear.
Is every day like this? No comment. We're gonna take care of you, okay?
This is what we do.
Howdy, everybody. Look who we got on campus.
We should hang out more, Matthew.
Hey.
Come on, man.
Doing it.
I've never seen anything I've done twice.
You seen Interstellar once? No way, man.
A CNN and Variety Town Hall event, now streaming on the CNN app.
Watch The Lead, weekdays at 5 on CNN, and watch on the CNN app.
Dad, I don't need you to check on me.
I still love you.
Ow!
I just want to help.
Hey, Rooster! Oh, hey there!
The kids call you Rooster?
They think I'm like my character.
You're a best-selling author parents have actually heard of.
Nice washboard. This is college. You can be the Rooster if you want.
Crush it, Rooster! I want to crush it! Ah! Yeah!
In these troubling times, the world desperately needs a hero. Unfortunately, we've got him.
What to do when country go, ah!
Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
All right. Thanks to my panel. Really appreciate you being here. Don't forget, you at home can now stream the Arena live or catch up whenever you want to in the CNN app. You can scan the QR code below. You can also catch up by listening to the Arena's podcast. You can follow the show on X and Instagram at the Arena CNN. But I really did want to leave a quick moment, one note before we go today. Today marks 1 year that since we here at the Arena came on the air, and I wanted to just give a very special thank you to everyone who works on this team for all of their incredibly hard work. Television is a team sport, and I could not play it without all of you. That goes also for you who watch every day at home. I really appreciate you. Appreciate everyone sitting at this table and those who come through as well. Jake Tapper is standing by for the lead. Hi, Jake.
Champagne in here. What about thanks for your best CNN friend, your bestie,
Hey,
your CNN bestie?
Jake, I'm so grateful for this handoff every day. You know?
That's it?
You
All
never
right.
know what you're going to get.
Okay, well, champagne is in here. Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Cheers. Thanks, Jake.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Welcome to the lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and we start with breaking news, the war on Iran. It's getting more expansive and more expensive and more complicated by the hour, and the United States exit plan remains unclear as of now. Right now, Iran's retaliatory strikes on countries across the Middle East continue, putting millions in harm's way and stranding American travelers. Just in the last few hours, the grounds of the U.S. consulate in Dubai in the UAE were struck by a suspected Iranian drone. You can see the smoke rising above that strike in this image. This is the U.S. embassies in Beirut, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia are all closed. The latter, in Saudi Arabia, was also hit by suspected Iranian drones. Thankfully, we are told no one was injured. On top of all that, the U.S. State Department told U.S. citizens to leave more than a dozen countries in the region, suggesting that any Americans there should take any available commercial flights. Of course, in many of those countries, there are no commercial flights because airspace has been closed because of the war. In other places, there are commercial flights, but, well, look, here's video of one commercial plane taking off amid smoke and explosions in Beirut, Lebanon, not exactly flying the friendly skies there. Surely the U.S. government already had a plan in place for evacuating Americans, right? Well, take a listen.
Why wasn't there an evacuation plan, and will you send planes to get people out?
Well, because it happened all very quickly. We thought, and I thought maybe more so than most, I could ask Marco, but I thought we were going to have a situation where we were going to be attacked. They were getting ready to attack Israel. They were getting ready to attack others. You're seeing that right now. And a lot of those missiles that are hitting in, those are stationary. Those were aimed there for a long period of time at these other countries. So I think I was right about that. We attacked first.
So we're going to get to questions about why this war started and why it started when it started in the show later, as well as coverage of those Americans stranded throughout the world. Shortly after President Trump made those comments, the Trump administration said it is now working to secure military aircraft to transport stranded Americans in those countries. And they are urging any American in need of consular assistance to call this number, 1-202-501-444. Let me repeat that, 1-202-501-4444. Now, in terms of the war itself, the U.S. military says it has hit more than 1,700 targets in Iran. President Trump today insisting it's going well, saying that new strikes in Iran today targeted another set of Iranian leaders. Remember, the initial strikes killed 49 Iranian officials, including Iran's brutal dictator, the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, according to President Trump. We do not know exactly whom the U.S. thought might be a good fit to replace Khamenei, but according to President Trump, those likely candidates were killed in the initial strikes.
I guess the worst case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person, right? That could happen. Well, most of the people we had in mind are dead. It would seem to me that somebody from within maybe would be more appropriate.
And of course, there are other casualties beyond those 49. At least 6 U.S. troops, service members, have been killed, and 18 are seriously wounded. And according to an Iran agency citing the Iranian Red Crescent, at least 780 Iranians have been killed by the U.S. and Israeli bombings, including some at a girls' school. Let's go to CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh, who's in Tel Aviv. Nick, you've been taking a closer look at some of the satellite images of destruction in Tehran. What are you finding?
Yeah, it's important to remind people of some of the images we've seen emerging from Tehran. A lot of devastation, smoke over the skyline, and giving you a sense, I think, of obviously civilians caught at times in parts of this, but also too, at moments, some of the buildings that have been particularly targeted by Israeli and US airstrikes. Some of the satellite images here, I can't see the ones you're showing one by one, Jake, but we're seeing images amongst these of Iran's Ministry of Intelligence, the Islamic Revolutionary Court, the IRGC's Tar Allah headquarters, and even some damage sustained to a hospital when they seem to be targeting a communications tower outside a judiciary complex as well. It's important also to remind viewers that just today the assembly of experts appear to have met in Qom to try and find a new supreme leader for Iran after the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and there are some indications that this process may be moving forwards quite quickly, but that building in Qom was hit by an Israeli airstrike. Now, there are suggestions in Iranian state media that, in fact, that building may have been evacuated. In fact, there's more reporting suggesting they may have tried to have put those 88 senior clerics together to make this decision through virtual means. After all, it is 2026, and the last time there was a significant meeting of key senior leaders, Khamenei was there, and it got hit, and he, amongst many others, was killed. So progress possibly to find a successor to Khamenei, utterly vital to have someone ultimately calling the shots in Iran, particularly in wartime now, Jake.
And Israel, of course, has been carrying out intensified strikes not only on Iran, but on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, after Hezbollah, which is a terrorist proxy for Iran, fired at central Tel Aviv for the second time. This obviously adds to the chaos of unrest across the region, not to mention the body count.
Yeah, look, we've just come back from northern Israel and seeing a rocket there fired from southern Lebanon went over our heads, and I think is linked to the alerts that people got here in Tel Aviv very shortly afterwards. I have to say, you know, we are seeing now Israel entering a operation which, as the defense minister says, is aimed to disarm Hezbollah. They have sent ground troops over the border, not in what they call a ground invasion, but essentially extending the buffer zone along that southern Lebanese border there, where there have been 5 Israeli posts since the ceasefire kicked in late 2024. But this is clearly an expansive operation. We have multiple settlements, dozens of settlements in southern Lebanon under IDF evacuation orders, multiple strikes inside of Beirut, dozens killed by some of these strikes as well, and also too some key Hezbollah leaders as well. It's clear from where we stood, though, in northern Israel, seeing intermittent barrages back from Hezbollah, but nothing like the ferocity many say they saw in 2024 when Israel's first assault against the group really began. They're dealing with a significantly diminished Hezbollah here, but still Israel persistent that they will finish that job, but that is a potentially weeks-long or indefinable task, no matter how small Hezbollah has come over the recent months, Jake.
All right, Nick Payton-Walsh in Tel Aviv, thank you so much. Stay safe. I want to bring in President Trump's ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Michael Waltz. Thank you so much for joining us, Ambassador. First of all, let me ask you, what is the reception you're getting for this war at the United Nations? Usually, such endeavors from the United States are not necessarily embraced, but at the same time, of course, Iran had this nuclear program and is now attacking all these Sunni Arab countries.
Well, Jake, just to take a step back for a moment, it was just a little over a month ago that we called an emergency UN Security Council resolution because of the ongoing massacre that Iran was unleashing on its own people. The UN then briefed a number as high as 18,000. I think that's been revised, sadly, incredibly upwards. And we had witnesses at the table like Masa Alinejad, Mr. Batabi, who were tortured for many years at the hands of the Iranians before they escaped. And then just over this last weekend, some of our Gulf Arab allies called for an emergency Security Council meeting. And I have to tell you, Bahrain, who's on the council, is absolutely incensed at the attacks on civilian infrastructure. They're suffering at the hands of the Iranians. You had countries even like Pakistan condemning the Iranians. Of course, you didn't see much of a reaction from the likes of China, Russia, but across the board, the Europeans and others are absolutely condemning these random attacks. I think we're up to 9 countries now that we're seeing at the hands of the Iranian regime. And you saw universal condemnation.
So there's this question now about the timing of these attacks and why the U.S. chose this time. It seems to be conflicting. And specifically, I want to play for you what Secretary of State Marco Rubio said yesterday. Take a listen.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
So that's what Marco Rubio, Secretary Rubio, said yesterday. Here's President Trump today.
I thought we were going to have a situation where we were going to be attacked. They were getting ready to attack Israel. They were getting ready to attack others. We attacked first.
Can you clear this up? What exactly is the reason for this attack happening now? Was it that Israel was going to attack Iran or that Iran was going to attack Israel?
Well, Jake, I have to point out what you didn't play, which was Secretary Rubio again holding a press conference today after he again
he said
went
it was
over
about the
to
timing.
Congress and briefed the Gang of Eight. Well, I think it would have been illustrative to your viewers to also play that where he clarified that those comments, those clips are being taken out of context. He was answering a very narrow operational question that the president clearly made a decision, as he himself said today, that the Iranian regime racing towards a nuke, developing long-range missiles, their continual support of terrorist proxies, which we've been dealing with for many, many years, and that they were not negotiating in good faith, that they were tapping us along. All of those things combined has led the president to take this decisive action. And in terms of the timing, if we're in coordination with our ally, I'll leave the Secretary's explanation to speak for itself.
Yeah, I understand that Secretary Rubio tried to clarify today, but that's why I narrowed the question as to not the motivation for the attack, but the timing of the attack. Yes, President Trump has said the attack was going to happen no matter what. Rubio has said the attack was going to happen no matter what because of the missile program of the Iranians. It had to happen sometime in the next year, 100%. The question is the timing, and my question is specifically, was it because Israel was about to attack Iran or Iran was about to attack Israel? But I can move on. I want to ask the question about the president last June telling the American people that the U.S. and Israel conducted those strikes, Operation Midnight Hammer, that obliterated Iran's nuclear sites. But you just heard him saying that we thought we were going to be attacked. Was the nuclear program, the nuclear weapons program, obliterated last year, or was it not?
Well, what our special envoy Witkoff has repeatedly explained, including, I believe, just last night, is that, yes, we absolutely obliterated those 3 particular sites, Esfahan, Natanz, and Fordow, and their enrichment and weaponization capabilities, but they've also hidden a large amount of highly enriched uranium, number one. And number two, I think it's widely established that once you enrich to 60%, and there's no reason to do so, Jake, except to build a nuclear weapon, it is exponentially above what you need for a civilian program, that the Iranians refuse to give it up. They refuse to ship it out. They refuse to destroy it. They were offered by Special Envoy Witkoff, Kushner, and Secretary Rubio on multiple occasions different avenues to establish just a civilian program. And when that became clear to the president, he decided to stop kicking the can on this problem and take the bold, decisive action that he has. And, back to your issue or your question on the UN's been dealing with this for decades.
Yeah.
In 2006, 20 years ago, we started with both the sanctions program, the condemnation of their nuclear program, and country after country just a few days ago said and reaffirmed Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, period. Finally, the president has been quite consistent on this. In all three of his campaigns, he made it quite clear this was a red line. And what I think the American people voted for was a president, a commander-in-chief that stands up for his red lines.
So just one last question for you, sir, having to do with whether or not Congress should also authorize, I know I don't want to get into the whole war powers and versus Article 1, Congress has the power to declare war. But when you were in Congress, you introduced legislation when President Biden was in the White House to give him the authority to go after the cartels because of the threat of fentanyl. And that seemed to suggest that you did believe that there was a role for Congress when it came to the use of force. Do you also think there is a role for Congress in this, which is a obviously much bigger, much broader military exercise than the kind you were thinking of against the cartels?
Well, but Jake, that's a bit of an apples and oranges comparison. Number one, that legislation was intended to also push the Biden administration, who was allowing a wide open border. The cartels were running amok. They control over 30% of our neighbor Mexico in many areas, are pushing fentanyl, drugs, and thugs into our inner city. And what I saw as a member of the House Armed Services Committee is that we were not devoting the intelligence or other surveillance or other military resources that were needed to support law enforcement. So we certainly wanted to make it crystal clear, myself and my co-sponsors, that the Biden administration had all of the authorizations that they need. If you remember, he consistently threw his hands up and said, there's nothing I can do. I need Congress to act. So we tried to take action to push him in that direction. But back to your debate, look, on this issue of the authorization to use of military force and the War Powers Act, administration after administration, as Secretary Rubio said just today, have found this unconstitutional. Nevertheless, he has done more Gang of Eight briefings in the last year than he received as a senator the last 4 years. So they're doing everything they can to keep Congress informed and engaged. And I'll leave it to the president and the rest of the administration as this conflict moves forward.
Ambassador Mike Waltz, Ambassador to the United Nations, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on the show.
All right. Thanks, Jake.
New video today showing the aftermath of a suspected Iranian drone. Those flames are burning near the U.S. consulate in Dubai in the UAE. Up next, an American stuck in Dubai, trying to leave that region right now any way he can. He's having a tough time, and he is a former member of Congress.
Disney Plus, Hulu, and HBO Max. It's the best of everything together.
I hope you can walk because I'm not carrying you. You're hunting something that can't be killed.
I could use a second set of hands here.
I miss all the gross stuff. It's the ultimate bundle for an unbelievable price.
In these troubling times, the world desperately needs a hero. Unfortunately, we've got him.
What to do when country go, ah!
Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Life on the Mars farm, it's anything but quiet.
Every day is a lot of moving parts.
Especially with a renovation business that never stops.
There's no going back now.
Oh my God!
Yes. Fixer to Fabulous, all new Tuesday night at 8 on HGTV.
The relationship between the FBI director and the president has always been complicated. Sometimes they're in moments of deep collaboration. At other times, the FBI is investigating the president.
You don't want an FBI to try to destroy a president, but you also don't want a president to destroy the FBI.
No one is above the law in the FBI's eyes.
Standoff, the FBI, Power and Paranoia premieres Sunday, March 22nd on CNN and next day on the CNN app.
All There Is with Anderson Cooper. Listen at cnn.com/allthereis. All There Is Live, now streaming at cnn.com/allthereis.
How's your shift going? It's been a lot.
Charge clear. We're gonna take care of you.
This is what we do.
When you buy a house, you're buying the neighbors.
It looks like an Osama bin Laden compound in Pakistan.
There is 6 to 8 chickens, 10 to 15 chicken, 20 chicken.
Oh, okay. Cool. Fine to me.
Don't talk to my child that way.
You will not talk over me.
Back off. Rooster!
My attorney will bury you.
I get to call someone I've looked up to a colleague.
We're two former White House correspondents with a tireless work ethic.
We're ready for whatever comes our way.
The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer and Pamela Brown, weekday mornings at 10 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
Dad, I don't need you to check on me.
I still love you.
Ow!
I just want to help.
Hey, Rooster! Oh, hey there!
The kids call you Rooster?
They think I'm like my character.
You're a best-selling author parents have actually heard of.
Nice washboard. This is college. You can be the rooster if you want.
Crush it, Rooster! I want to crush it! Yeah, yeah!
You introduced your buddy to DTF St. Louis. Whoa. He goes on the site and winds up dead.
I want to know more.
We always want to know more.
Had you ever discussed leaving your husband?
What's going on out here in the suburbs? Why'd you kill your friend?
Back with more on our world lead. The State Department this afternoon says it's now working to secure military aircraft and charter flights for Americans trying to leave the more than a dozen Middle East countries amid ongoing strikes in the region. How's that going to work? Well, here's the explanation from Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
We have identified and continue to identify charter flights, military flight options, and expanded commercial flight options, meaning working with the airlines to send bigger airplanes with more seats, and the combination of those three things.
Let's speak with Jason Altmaier, an American stranded in Dubai right now. If the name sounds familiar, he is a former Democratic congressman for the 4th District of the Great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Congressman, thanks for joining us. So these must be very stressful circumstances. What brought you to Dubai? What have you been seeing and hearing since the attacks began?
We were passing through Dubai, my wife and I, this weekend because we have some things next week in a different part of the world, and we wanted to stop here on the way. And we arrived at 8 a.m. local time on Saturday, the 28th, which is about 4 hours before they closed the airspace because of what happened in Iran. And then trying to get a commercial flight out since that time has been impossible. If you can get through to the airlines at all, which is a challenge, then you get booked on a flight, it gets canceled, and then you go through the same process again. We've done that 3 times. And today, when that State Department announcement came out, I was, of course, very interested in that because we hear the booms. We've seen some flashes. We understand the risk, and we certainly read with caution what the State Department had said about the need to evacuate. The problem is they're saying you have to figure it out on your own. You have to get out through commercial means or otherwise, and the government is not here to help. So when that announcement came out today and we called that number and got the voicemail that said what I just said, you're on your own, don't expect the government to help. That's when I got involved with calling some former colleagues, calling my own home congressman now, and they were extremely helpful. My understanding is our name is on a list somewhere at the State Department, which I'm very grateful for. But getting out on a commercial aircraft does not appear to be something in Dubai that is possible now. So this has to be, I know there's thousands of Americans that are in the same position right here in Dubai. And the only way this is going to happen is if the government intervenes and evacuates people out of a very, very unsafe zone.
Have you heard from the U.S. State Department directly about any of the evacuation options that they're working on?
I have not heard from the State Department. I have heard from others, including media reports, but also folks on Capitol Hill, that something is being planned. And I'm, obviously enthusiastic to hear what that might be. But neither I nor my wife has yet been contacted by the State Department.
All right, former Congressman Jason Altmaier, thank you so much. Stay in touch with us. We will, bring attention to this as much as possible. And obviously, the congressman represents thousands of Americans. And if you're one of them, the number again, if you're in need of consular assistance, is 1-202-501-4444, 1-202-501-4444. Tomorrow, the U.S. Senate's going to take up a resolution aiming to block President Trump's military operations against Iran. Is the damage already done? Plus, tough questions today on Capitol Hill with the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. You're going to hear those questions and her combative responses next.
Take your health to the power of omega-3 with Nordic Naturals. Help every cell in your body function at its best with purely sourced support for your heart, mind, and body.
When you buy a house, you're buying the neighbors.
It looks like an Osama bin Laden compound in Pakistan.
There is 6 to 8 chickens, 10 to 15 chicken, 20 chicken.
Oh, can't poop on me.
Don't talk to my child that way.
You will not talk over me.
Back off.
Sir.
My attorney will bury you.
Whether it's your future health, your future income, or your future happiness, becoming an AARP member today can help. Join now for just $11 per year with a 5-year term and get a second membership free. Call or go online to join today, because the younger you are, the more you need AARP.
Bob's is bringing the wow back. You can wait for a sale price, or you can get wow-worthy prices every day at Bob's. Like this Playday sectional for just $7.99, delivered in days. Or this real marble dining set in 2 finishes. And with our everyday low prices plus flexible financing options, your tax refund goes further at Bob's.
And with tons of styles ready to ship and old furniture removal, you can get your furniture fast and easy.
Wow!
Oh, my Bob.
Your glasses can change the way you see the world. They can be bold, polished, complex, or unexpected. Find your perfect pair at Warby Parker. Or maybe your perspective is artful, simple, sharp, and classic. Find your perfect pair at Warby Parker, starting at $95, including prescription lenses.
So I'm trying to open my own fitness studio, but my last bank kept draining my savings with fee after fee. I was over it. That's why I love Chime. I can bank fee-free. There are no overdraft fees, there are no monthly fees, and over 50,000 fee-free ATMs. If I need the help, I can get 24/7 live human support. Plus, signing up, it takes like 2 minutes. Now that those fees are gone, I can put that money towards building my studio. Start banking fee-free at Chime, the #1 most loved banking app.
Welcome to All There Is Live, a weekly live stream where I talk to others about grief and loss.
I don't think that I was ever prepared for loss.
You'll hear deeply moving and honest discussions with people living with life-altering losses.
We all have this common tragedy. Nobody's rushing to make it better.
Grief is something that will live with you forever. It changes you, but it doesn't always have to be a negative change.
Now streaming at cnn.com/allthereis.
The relationship between the FBI director and the president has always been complicated.
Standoff, the FBI, Power and Paranoia, premieres Sunday, March 22nd on CNN.
Hey, Rooster!
The kids call you Rooster?
They think I'm like my character.
Nice washboard. This is college. You can be the Rooster if you want.
Cock a doodle doo.
How's your shift going? It's been a lot.
Charge clear.
We're gonna take care of you.
This is what we do.
In these troubling times, the world desperately needs a hero. Unfortunately, we've got him.
What to do when country go, ah!
Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
International lead a contentious hearing today on Capitol Hill for Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. She took criticism from both sides of the aisle over the way her department has conducted its immigration crackdown, especially in Minnesota, not to mention her response to the shooting deaths of American citizens Alex Preddy and Renee Good at the hands of immigration officers.
I'm asking you, did you determine whether there was any basis for the sensational claim, a claim that proved to be utterly false, that these two victims were engaged in domestic terrorism?
There is an investigation ongoing. The FBI is leading that. There's also internal investigations that are ongoing.
I'm asking you
we'll continue to bring the facts forward.
Excuse me, Madam Secretary. I'm asking about your statements in the immediate aftermath of these shootings. Your statements based on completely unvetted information that if it was even provided to you proved to be utterly false, that you were content to tell the whole country. Do you have any concern about misleading the whole country?
Let's bring in that Senator Adam Schiff, Democrat from California. Senator, thanks for joining us. The Secretary told you basically it was reports from agents on the ground, part of a chaotic scene. They told her team that Preddy and Good were engaged in what they called domestic terrorism before those agents killed them. What was your reaction to her testimony today?
I thought it was pretty shameful. Yeah, certainly things are chaotic. That means you take your time to get it right before you tell the American people something that proves to be utterly false. I asked her, how can we have any confidence in an investigation led by your department or the Department of Justice if you predetermine the outcome, if you tell the country that these people are domestic terrorists? I think the main takeaway from the hearing is nothing has changed at DHS. Certainly the leadership hasn't. Certainly their willingness to use force without independent investigation when they do hasn't changed. Their willingness to deploy massive numbers of agents in indiscriminate sweeps, sweeping up citizens and non-citizens alike, has not changed, will not change under this leadership unless we change it. And I think one other thing became abundantly clear, and that is there is massive fraud and waste going on within that department. Hundreds of millions of dollars in sweetheart deals going out to people like the PR team that's doing her ads, that also did her ads in South Dakota. But those ads now, purportedly for DHS, but featuring Kristi Noem on horseback and Kristi Noem in a helicopter and Kristi Noem God knows where else, those are paid for by taxpayers. So if that department wants to look for waste and abuse, it can look within the department.
The Secretary, as you know, also faced tough questions from some of your Republican colleagues. I want to play some clips from Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina and Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana.
The fact that you can't admit to a mistake